So I think it makes a lot of sense to practice stuff like this, right? Really try to play it like he does in time. That would be a really good technical workout. And also try to understand what he's doing. But you can also just take a more general idea. And the more general idea could be, for example, a melody note. Dear friends, here I'm back. And yes, I want to talk about the tune All or Nothing at All. It's a beautiful tune. There's also a ballad version from John Coltrane. The CD is called Ballads, John Coltrane. I highly recommend this recording. But today I want to be looking at Kurt Rosenwinkel's version, and I got this book out again, which has a lot of mistakes in it, I'm sorry to say, but it's also sometimes I just want to have the overview. Maybe you know how I work. In the meanwhile, I like to have the overview so I know what I'm listening to, where it is in the form, right, and which chords most probably are going to be played there, and then I'm transcribing it anyways and just listening back and forth and sometimes looking what they are writing and what I'm hearing, and so it's sort of in dialogue. I want to, let's hear the part that I decided to check out today. It's like a, if you want, like a chord solo in his solo, and it's really cool and very typical Rosenwinkel. I want to check that out with you today. So this part I like a lot. I'm going to play it for you. So this part basically starts on 3 minutes and 1 second. The tune is in A minor, right, for the most part, and C major. And this last part in many real books starts on a D minor, then it's an F minor, and C major going back to A minor. And so let's check out what he's playing. So the first thing that I noticed, which I found so cool, is that he has like this. Right, that he has like this melody going on all the time, mostly on the offbeats. So this is like a C triad, and the bass is playing a G, and he's playing something like this. So C with an added 9, and the G in the bass, and then he's just transforming the C triad into an A flat triad and leaving the C as a top note. And I know this as with a D in the bass, then it would be like a D sus4 chord going to like a D7 flat 9 sharp 11 chord. But he is just like playing a G in the bass. So let's think about the C with the G in the bass. It's just like more or less a sus13. And now we're changing the C to the A flat. Could be like an A flat major 7 chord with a G in the bass, right? But I think it's not what we hear. What we hear is more like a sus Phrygian sound. And then he's going to this D, another triad, and still having the C as a top note, still playing this melody. So basically he's always playing C, D, and the C stays with every chord he's playing. So C, triad with C, A flat triad with C, D with C. And then he is resolving it just to a 6-9 chord. This is sort of a short rest here, release. So once again, C, A flat, D, and then all the time with the melody. Sorry. C6. So you can hear where it resolves to right. It's like, this is like a B minor if you want to, E minor, going to the A minor. So you can think about those last chords like a 2-5-1 in A. This would be our 2 chord. This would be our 5 chord, and he's playing like an F major chord, right? And some of you might know that, right? We have the E, and then we have this F with the E in the bass, which is just like this Phrygian sound that he's using here. Just not so obvious maybe, but just playing an F triad, still thinking about the melody. F triad instead of the E, going to the A minor 7/11. So I think it makes a lot of sense to practice stuff like this, right? Really try to play it like he does in time. That would be a really good technical workout. And also try to understand what he's doing. But you can also just take a more general idea. And the more general idea could be, for example, a melody note that stays, and then another note that stays as well, that he comes back and forth. So what we're going to do is to play a very like 2-5-1 progression with chords that have a top note that stays. This is our first step. And then we're going to look if we find a second note that oscillates between the first and the second note. And let's look what I find. So let's say we're 2-5-1 in C major, right? So 2, 5, 1. And let's say we don't need to play the root in the chord, so we have a lot more freedom. So maybe we can play a 2 like this, D minor, G7-9, and C major. So in this way already I can leave the D up here. And one note that comes to my mind would be the E as a second note. That would be like, and then I could play like, and I wouldn't force myself to leave the chord on the fretboard sort of and then just add the note, but I would give myself the freedom to also not play the chord anymore. For example here, right? Because otherwise I have such a big stretch. And I think rhythm is always more important than our complicated fingering, so I think most of the great players really play easy chords so that they can really focus on the time. And one thing that came to my mind would be, like he did, to play all those chords on the end. So like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 1, 2. So basically I'm trying to improvise through chords that I would normally play. I just went into a 1-6-2-5, so like, you know, 2, 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1, 2. And then at the same time I could think, okay, I'm playing a 1, 6, 2, 5. Maybe I'm playing an E minor chord instead of the C major, and still trying to find some sort of a melody, maybe the same. 1, 2, 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Oh, sorry. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically what we can take away from this is that we don't always have to stress ourselves out to harmonize every note, right? We can just like harmonize the first note, maybe the note that stays, and we just play the second one. And just go ahead and try to find stuff. I think there's endless stuff to find. Whatever, just experiment, and always don't forget, I always say to my students, you can practice in two ways, right? Like in a more analytical fashion and in a more sort of emotional way, or subconscious, unconscious way. So the analytical way is really to play your chords and check out the name of the notes and the intervals and the relationships. But the other way is really to just like take a snippet of a transcription. You know, I have a lot of transcriptions, right? And just try to play it, but always with the recording at hand, and don't drive yourself crazy to understand everything at once. You know what I mean? You can understand a C major chord, that's your goal for today. Or something more complicated, analyze some of the chords of Chopin's, and that's great. You did your analytical way of practicing, but then also just play stuff and just really listen and feel how it feels, and try to play as closely as you can on the person that you're transcribing, and then forget about the analytical stuff for a second. And I assure you, after 20 years or more, everything will come together. Sorry. Okay, anyways, I see you next week. Let me know if you have any ideas for videos that I should make, and I see you around. Bye.